everybody. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here to join us for the Season 9 NSFL Draft. I've got a couple of commentators here with me. We've got Adam of the Liberty, we have Mr. Brad Pennington of the Sabercats, and Mr. Ben Horn, or Icy Douglas, of the Sabercats and the Luchadores. Obviously, I am time consumer here, your simmer and representative of the Otters. So thank you everyone for joining us, and welcome to the draft. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Just another day, another stream.
Nice.
Doing great, time consumer.
So we're gonna get started in just a few minutes here. Obviously, got to give everyone time to trickle in as they make their way into the stream. So tell me, I guess we'll go in alphabetical order here. Adam, what expectations do you have going into the draft this season for your team?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good draft with a lot of good talent, especially at the top of the draft. I think we're going to see a lot of good players picked this year, and it's an exciting time of year every year, and excited to get started.
Mr. Pennington, how about yourself?
Yeah, I agree with Adam. Really, it's a deep draft. There are some really excellent prospects out there, and I'm looking forward to creating our core for the seasons to come, really.
You got a lot of core to fill up, but plenty of picks to do it with.
Yep.
And Mr. Douglas, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see where all the Luchador guys go. We had a great locker room this year, so I think they'll all make good NSFL players.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting draft from everything that I've seen and studied with this. We got a lot of big name players, a lot of good recreates coming in, couple fresh people. And so these next couple drafts that we have, Season 9, Season 10, Season 11, I think are really going to make or break some franchises for the next 5 seasons or more. A ton of talent coming in here, and being able to leverage this is going to be a big deal. And everyone that's watching us right now on Twitch, by the way, we are keeping an eye on our Twitch chat. So if you have questions, anything like that, go ahead, throw it in. Comments. You want to make fun of a sippy? We're all here ready for that too. So we are just about ready to get started. I think just about everyone that's going to be here is going to be here. So with that, we are waiting on San Jose to get their first pick. My San Jose guys, can you tell me a little bit about what you are looking for with this position, with this pick?
What we want really is a guy who can come in and be that player who we can rely on, and who we know is going to be that guy who we can go to. Or what I mean by that is our cornerstone, essentially, that we can build around. And like, we of course already have me as the quarterback or whatever, but we still need wide receivers, we still need running backs, we still need these positions that are key to success, as we've seen with like the Otters and the Liberty as they've won championships.
So
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree with that. I think we just need have guys who can be here long term.
So with that, obviously, we're looking at the kind of the top players on the board right now. Bucky Barnes, he's listed as a linebacker here. I'm pretty sure he's a safety, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so he's obviously top on a lot of people's boards. Xavier Flash, really good-looking player as well, wide receiver. Tight end Declan Harp, of course Colby Derringer, the linebacker. Gus Showbiz is on here. I'm not sure he's really what you're looking for. I think you guys are pretty set at quarterback. So really good draft, I think, for the top probably 5 picks. Really solid players in there. Drops off a little bit, I'd say, at pick number 6, 7, 8. But really good stuff all the way through the first 2 rounds. Adam, any comments? Who you think Sabercats are taking here?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Bucky Barnes here. The guy had a great season last year for the Marshals, led the DSFL in interceptions with 7. He also forced 2 fumbles.
Marquise Brown is upset I didn't mention him. Also a good option there of running back if Sabercats are looking to build a more power run team. But I am getting word that the pick is actually in here, so let's go ahead and see what the Sabercats went with. Oh, wait for it, I got a little sound to go with it. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? And the Sabercats go with Xavier Flash, the wide receiver from Tijuana. Leafs forever. So go ahead, Mr. Icy Douglas. Tell us about your wide receiver.
Yeah, this is my favorite pick of the whole draft. From a luchador's perspective, this guy's active in the locker room, and he's willing to build his player around what the team needs. So I'm really excited for him to become a SaberCat and play along with him for hopefully years to come.
Now I know Brad Pennington must be glad to have a good, reliable receiver ready to kind of grow with him as well.
Yeah, we had to get that going because I believe wide receivers take a bit to develop, at least in the league. So with the departure of Mayer and Jackson, we may not have the time to let him stay in the SFL, but we're going to figure that out.
You know, good coach, good team. If you scheme right, even a young wide receiver, you can really do good stuff with him. I like this guy. I like his archetype possession. Really good, reliable hands, pretty good speed, pretty good agility. Can play well outside slot. Can even do kick returns. Very much a kind of a do-it-all wide receiver. So I think it's a good choice here.
Yeah, I mean he almost broke a few records in the DSFL this year, so I think he's ready to try to break something in the NSFL.
All right, now let's see what we've got for pick number 2. So Arizona is on the clock right now. We don't have a representative from Arizona here, but after looking at them last season, you know, their quarterback is definitely, I'd say, a need for them right now. It's not listed as their team needs here, but you got King Bronco getting a little older there. They did just pick up a couple young receivers with Baltazar Crindy, the tight end, and Vigo Swanch, the wide receiver. Reg McWorth is getting a little older at running back, and of course, always need defense on just about every team. So a couple different ways they could go here. What do you guys think?
I mean, honestly, I think they could go here for Marquise Brown. They need that running back to kind of get things going with whatever quarterback they choose to bring in this draft or either the next, which seems to be pretty stacked, at least at the position.
I don't know. I still think it's going to be Bucky Barnes here. I think he's the best player on the board. Great defender. He can step right in and be a cornerstone of the defense, start right away for that team. So yeah, and I think it's even though they've got good safeties, I think he's the pick here.
I'd have to agree with you. If I were sitting in the shoes of Run CMC for this one, I'd have to go either Bucky Barnes or Colby Derringer on this one. I love having some good safeties and linebackers in there. You can never have too many. They're very versatile and they can play a lot of different positions. I'd have to go defense on this one. On that note, actually, I'm getting word that they have made their selection, and my mouse has disappeared. There it is. And Arizona goes with the fantastic choice here of Bucky Barnes, safety, out of the Marshals, run support safety. And so, what do you guys think? How do you feel about this pick?
I think it's excellent. They took the best available, obviously, regardless of position. I think he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. I mean, obviously, us sitting at pick 3, we were hoping he would fall to us, but he ended up in a good spot, and I'm sure he's going to have a great career.
I agree with you. And run support safety, we haven't seen a ton of that really do with a lot of success here in the NSFL. There have been some changes that just were announced for it here, making them a little faster, that sort of thing, getting a little closer to kind of what a linebacker could do. He's pretty quick on himself, got about 83 speed, got some pretty good tackling, pretty good agility, that sort of thing. So I think he'll be very useful either in kind of that weak side linebacker role, nickel corner, or staying at safety. So a lot of versatility with this guy. And with that, we've got Philadelphia on the clock. So Adam, what do you guys need, and what are you looking for right now?
Well, I mean, after trading away pretty much our entire team, there isn't a single position that we don't need right now. So we're really just looking for the best player available in this spot. Somebody who can come in and be, face of the franchise for us as we go through this rebuild process.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of holes to fill, I'd say. So Obviously, we've mentioned a couple names. Colby Derringer, linebacker. You've definitely got some holes to fill. Linebacker. You lost a couple of good receiving options. Paul Demirio departed, so you've got guys like Declan Harp out there, or Mr. Valentine. There, since you did lose Josh Garden as well, a couple of quarterbacks on the board. I don't think Showbiz is going to be a choice for you since he's a GM, but Fitzpatrick. A lot of different ways you could go with this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of good players here. It's an enviable spot to be in, picking third and having so much talent on the board. But yeah, we just want to go with who we think is going to be the best fit for our team, and then building the type of locker room that we want to have moving forward.
So, how much does your scouting play into the kind of decisions that you would make here? How much does the discussion with the draftee matter?
And that's really the biggest part. I mean, right now, we're not in a position where we need to find, the one missing piece to get us to the championship. We're looking to, start and build a solid foundation. So we're looking for, the best locker room fit, or the best guy we want around us in the locker room, not necessarily, that one piece that's going to make us win a championship.
What would you say the odds are that you could find a future co-GM in this kind of pick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely something that might be on our mind here. We definitely want to get a guy who's got those qualities in him.
All right. Well, I think you've already got an idea of who you're taking here, since I do have word that the pick is been made. So let's see who you went with, and we'll hear why you did it. Wait for the noise. All right. So going with Marquise Brown, young TB, the running back here. Can you tell me about your thought process on this one?
Yeah, I mean, he just killed it in his interviews with us. BW3 has an experience with him from being on the Marshals. Just a great relationship with him. And I'm not sure if you guys saw the news today, but also Carter Bush is changing positions. He's going to be switching to wide receiver. So running back is going to be a need for us in the immediate future. So great position fit, great locker room fit, and we're hoping he's going to be a huge piece of our team moving forward as we go through this rebuild process.
So we got Carter moving to wide receiver. We've got a speed running back coming in. He's already pretty quick. He's got about 88 speed on him. What are the chances that he plays his true rookie year in Philadelphia rather than staying down another season in the DSFL with the Marshals?
That's something that we definitely want to talk to him about and get his opinion on first. I mean, right now we'd have playing room for him if he wanted to stay up, but we'd also be fine with him staying down. It's really up to him at this point. Obviously, we're not really in a position to compete this year, so I'm not going to force his hand to play for a losing team. He could rather develop another year and then hopefully be ready to go next season. But ultimately, it's going to be his choice.
And so with you position wide receiver, that begs the question: could we have another Carter Bush breakout year when he becomes a wide receiver in season 9?
I don't know. I mean, I put up most of my stats receiving this past season, so I don't really think it's going to get much better. I led the league in receptions, so I mean, I don't know how much better than that I could do,
Yeah, good
especially now with
point.
Noble throwing me the ball as opposed to Oles. So it'll be interesting.
Well, maybe we could see this young man here become rookie of the year for you to make up for it.
That'd be a nice consolation prize.
And with that, we are back to San Jose with the number 4 pick. So, my Sabercat friends, tell me, what are you looking for here to augment your selection of Xavier Flash at the first overall pick?
Well, really, again, we want these players who we can bring in, and we know who are going to be here for a while and are going to be our franchise players. When much similar, it's a really similar position to the Liberty, of course. But I'd say with this pick in particular, what we are looking for is that guy who we know is of great value, while at the same time being absolutely excellent off the field and in the locker room.
Right, yeah, I understand that one. Now, so we've already picked a wide receiver. Um, got another wide receiver, Valentine on the board. You've got tight end Declan Harp. Now, San Jose has never really had a tight end. They were using break bottles there for a long, long time, who was just a very poor excuse of an inactive. So you've got a couple of good holes to fill on that line. linebacker, you've lost a couple big names over the last few years, so Colby Derringer could fit in there. What do you think, and what is it going to take for San Jose to take that next step this season or next season to overcome the second line or the Otters?
Honestly, the way that the rebuild's going to work out is I think it's going to take another season or two to get going. But at least with this pick, again, you have to get the guy who's going to develop over time and is going to be consistent with the franchise. And on the board, at least right now, I don't think we should go tight end necessarily because we want to respect Harp's wishes and not wanting to be drafted by us. So
Oh, I must have forgotten about that detail. Does he not want to go to San Jose? Was that what that was?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that would take that one off the board. You don't want to spend a fourth overall pick on someone that could walk on you in free agency in a year or two.
Mhm. It
All
just
right.
wasn't it. Mhm.
So I'm getting word that your selection is in as well. So let's see what we got. And not too surprised about this pick, going with Colby Derringer out of the Coyotes, the top linebacker in his class. Really fantastic draftee. So tell me about your pick, guys.
Well, he's extremely active off the field, and he's an updater right now. We know that for sure. He was even our updater, which is kind of ironic because I was also San Jose's updater last season. But really, he's an excellent guy. Like I've spoken with him, and he seems to be well articulated and everything. And I think he's just a great fit with our franchise. And I honestly didn't think he'd be here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no Coyote fan, but I'm really glad he fell all the way to four.
I gotta say, it is a little shocking. You guys go wide receiver over who many believed was the top pick in the draft with Bucky Barnes, but managed to get a guy like Derringer to drop to you in the fourth. Um, I'd say that's a pretty good win to land those two players. If you go Barnes with number one, does Flash not make it to you at number four? That sort of thing. So being able to get two high quality players like this in the first two picks is really a good deal for your team, and should define the franchise for a little bit.
Yeah, Derringer was really one of the guys that we liked a lot too. Really came down to the smallest of differences between him and Brown, but that for our third pick, and it really just came down to us being more familiar with Brown from BW3's time in the Marshals. So I mean that really came down to it. He's a great player. He's gonna have a great career for sure. Great pick by the SaberCats.
Yeah, the balanced linebacker I think is a very good build. Obviously, I'm a little partial to it myself. Pretty good build overall. He's going to need to add some speed though to compete at the NSFL level. He's still got about 73, 75 speed, not a whole lot. So if you're going to be bringing him up this season, he's going to want to get that to 80 minimum as soon as possible. What are the chances you guys think that he stays in the DSFL versus coming up to the NSFL?
It's going to come down to whether he wants to come to the NFL or he just wants to stay down with the Coyotes, honestly. Because at least this season, I think it's reasonable to say that we won't be able to compete for a playoff spot. So as we go through this rebuild, it might be best for him to stay with a team where he can compete.
I can't argue with that logic. Maybe if you had a better quarterback, you'd be able to compete this season, but those are hard to find.
There's still Kevin Fitzpatrick on the board.
Yeah, there is still Kevin Fitzpatrick. Surprising, a lot of people were expecting him to end up on the Liberty with that pick number 3. So we will see how much further he falls. And with that, we have the Hawks up here at pick number 5, and let's see what we get out of that one. So the Hawks. They started out as arguably one of the favorites to win last season, and ended up just barely limping into the playoffs at about 7-7. Really good offense. They had two of the best wide receivers in LeClaire and Willie. Great quarterback at Bloxdale, obviously. Now some of these guys are getting a little older, hitting regression. They have Owen Taylor, who's still doing very well at running back. So the offense looks pretty good. Alto at tight end. Defense getting a little older. Hendricks on the defensive line is entering a couple years of regression now. Same thing with a couple of their linebackers, defensive backs like Delacour. So arguably, I'd say that Hawks here are looking to go defense. How would you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. You guys got guys like Jesse Marchand coming up. But I also think it's possible maybe they start drafting for the future here and maybe take a chance on a guy like Kevin Fitzpatrick to eventually replace Bloxdale, or maybe one of the running backs like Lagerfield or Ricky Adams to eventually replace Owen Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, if I was them, I'd try to win now because they were just so close last year. But we'll see what they do.
Yes. So it's tough to tell. I'd say. The idea of them taking Fitzpatrick. I've heard some rumblings that there are some disagreements between their current quarterback and him, and their agencies, that sort of thing. So I'm not quite sure that that's really going to be the way they'd go. If maybe they go best player available, go with a Lagerfield or a Valentine. Um, let's find out. And this is a surprising pick to me. So the Hawks end up taking Declan Harp, a tight end, after they just took a tight end last season with Verso Alto. You guys surprised about this one?
Yeah, it's a pretty big shock. I mean, especially because they're the team who hasn't had a tight end, since the beginning of time, and now they take two in the first round back-to-back drafts. So it'd be interesting to see how they use them. I know the Race have run a two tight end team here for a while, so they might employ a similar strategy with the Race still.
And if I remember correctly, they picked Alto at about the same pick. I want to say he was about the number 3 pick overall last season. So two very, very high picks on tight ends in 2 seasons. But I think the game is changing. You got their offense with a running back like Owen Taylor. You get a couple of good blocking tight ends in there, maybe throw in a fullback or have one of the tight ends play some fullback, and you've got a chance for a power run offense, which as a guy like Bloxdale starts to decline a little bit in his older years, can still lead that offense with a really strong running game. So that may be what they're trying to do here.
I think Alto was actually 2 seasons ago. I think he's also in a contract year this year. So I think they may try to, like I said, maybe try to win it all with, like you said, a 2 tight end set. But yeah, so I think it's a surprising pick still.
You're right, it was 2 seasons ago. I get these things confused. I'm like 3 beers deep, so forgive me. And with that, we are up to the Orange County Otters with number 6. And I guess this analysis is on me, isn't it? So, think about the Otters that a lot of people may not have noticed. We have drafted defense in the first round for about 5 drafts in a row. It's kind of always been the mindset of what the Otters want to do is just constantly build a good young defense and figure out offense when the time comes. Let them be old, that's fine. So I have a feeling that they're going to want to stick with something like that here. But it's also a bit of a drop off, I'd say, from these top 5 picks until the next 3 or 4. Now you've got some really good defensive players like Oscar Ludwig, the corner. And you've got Jesse Marchand, the linebacker, and a couple of good pieces there. But it's tough to tell really what the Orange County GMs, Moeller Pistols, and Speculadora want to do with this kind of spot here.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the Otters are getting to like a sort of a crossroads here, where they're either going to have to choose to just keep slugging along for a couple of years and hope that their guys can keep going, or if they're going to have to start turning the page and start trying to replace some of these aging veterans with some younger guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here.
Well, I think they've already got some succession plans in place. Obviously, Gus Showbiz, he is the co-GM for the Otters, so they're taking him in the second round. Unless another team snakes him, they got to trade for him or something along those lines. So Mike Boss, the succession plan is there. They got Carlito Crush. Hopefully they can hang on to him for a few more seasons. That's been kind of one season at a time. Tegan Atwell just moved to wide receiver, so offense, at least when it comes to wide receiver and quarterback, they've got succession plans. Tight end, not so much. Running back, not so much. And then they've got some big holes to fill on the defensive line and in the secondary, I'd say.
Yeah, I still think there's two very good running back prospects in Lagerfield and Ricky Adams, who could definitely be options here. They were right up there with Marquise Brown, who went earlier there in the draft, TPUI. So I could definitely see those guys as options here at Orange County.
Yeah, I would say Ricky, he hasn't even done what he can do. I think at Luchador, we ran him with splitting time. And I think he could do a lot better if he's given the workhorse load of running back carries. So I think he's a great pick here if he is the pick.
Let's see. It'd be interesting to see if the Otters go to a running offense, as we know they've been an air raid offense for many years. But I'm getting word that we've actually got a bit of a surprise here. We've got a trade. So the Otters have swapped down to the 8th pick, given the Rays the number 6 pick, and they are taking the Rays season 2 safety Marcus Kane, and Rays will be paying his salary instead. So moving down 2 picks and grabbing an older safety out of Yellowknife. So this is an interesting move, but I think I understand kind of why they're doing it here. Looks like the Otters aren't too happy with everyone on the board and feel that they can get the guy they want in 2 more picks and get an extra piece out of it on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you were looking for a safety, there's a really good safety on the board here. Alexander Thibodeau. I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau, yeah, that guy. I think he's a very good option at safety. And if you guys were looking to get a safety, I don't know. I don't think there's that much difference between him and Marcus Kane. But again, he might be there at 8 for you guys, and then you end up with Marcus Kane for nothing. So.
You might be right. Now, fun fact, Thibodeau actually played for the Otters before. They had drafted him, I want to say season 2. Ended up going inactive. Maybe there's a little trepidation there that the same thing could happen again. So,
yeah, that's a good point. I think this is actually his 3rd player, if I remember correctly.
All right, but from what I understand, we've got some news on what Yellowknife is doing with this pick here, and they have traded it away.
Oh, jeez.
So with 2 trades in a row, Yellowknife flips Orange County's number 6 pick over to the Yeti in return for, let's see, a season 10 third, a season 11 second, a season 11 third, and $15 million in season 9 cap space. Looks like Zercap over there with the Rays is continuing to be the shark at trades he is, as he just turns Orange County's pick he turned his number 8 pick and an old safety into a boatload of what could be really good draft capital going into some recreate heavy drafts, as well as a whole lot of money this season for some good offensive line.
Yeah, it's crazy to see that coming off of a championship win, they're still making moves for the future.
I think it's the biggest thing here is, the Rays are in a position where they don't really add a whole lot. They're coming off, a championship season. Now they're trying to, just move some of this draft capital forward here so they can start replacing their guys as they start aging out. And as we start to see, a new crop of players who are recreating. So, they're going to get some quality picks there coming up.
The Rays have always been really savvy traders, and always every season they pull something like this, and it rarely goes wrong for them. And with that, let's finally see if we can get to this number 6 pick and see if the Yeti picks someone. And I think we're going to get a pick finally. And we finally have a pick. So the Colorado Yeti go with Oscar Ludwig from the Marshalls. Was this the guy they referred to as the Siberian Swatter? No, that's the guy from last year, isn't it? Didn't Ludwig have a nickname? Oh, the Norwegian Demon. There it is. Thank you very much, Mr. TB. That was close.
Yeah, I think this is a great pick. For some reason, I was hearing some rumors about him falling for some off-the-field stuff, but, his performance on the field is, it's unquestionable. Great player. Had a great year last year for the Marshalls, and, if he stays down for another year, then he's going to come up the following year. He's going to have a great season for the Yeti, I'm sure.
It's an interesting pick. So the Yeti, they've last year they just took they've got Andre Bly obviously at corner. Who's their other corners? Can someone remind me here? Nobody knows. All right, no big deal.
They have Desta Danger.
Okay, so this fills a pretty good role. Desta Danger, yeah, they call him the Danger Zone. If I remember correctly, he hasn't been earning a whole lot, but doing a little bit. But corner's one of those positions where you really want a pretty high earning player. And if I'm wrong, my apologies, Mr. Danger. I'm not quite sure if he's been one of those high active earners or not there at your corner spot.
Yeah, one thing about Ludwig is if you look at his stats last year, he ended up having 6 interceptions, and he took 4 of them to the house for touchdowns. So, I mean, the guy's a playmaker with the ball in his hands. Maybe you can see him back there, kick return, punt returns too. I think he could be a great fit for the Yeti moving forward.
Yeah, and I've got the numbers pulled up. Yeah, Danger, he hasn't been too active, only 80 speed at the corner spot, which obviously that's a spot where you need to have some really fast guys. Ludwig is already at 80 speed, so you look, I mean, I'd go ahead, if I were the Yeti, I'd put him in this season as a rookie. Watch him launch his speed up to 90 or more, and he should be able to help land them, from that kind of 6 and 8 spot they were last season to getting over that 500 hump that they haven't been over in a long time.
Yeah, and really, the Yeti right now, they're still a great spot for any rookie coming up. They are the up-and-coming team, that almost everyone wants to play for. They got a shot at championships coming up here in the future, so it's a great spot for him.
So now, after that trade, the Yeti have 2 picks in a row, so they've got the number 7 pick here. Couple good people left to pick, and I think the Yeti are in a position where they can really go with just about everything. Now, bit of a bomb dropped earlier today or yesterday where Mark Grau said that he's had a lot going on, and he's going to be taking a step back and not really earning the way he used to be with the running back position. So they've got a position potentially where they need a new running back to come in and take over, where Grau, who previously looked like he was just going to be a top 5 guy, could be losing a few seasons on him, losing a step. Wide receiver, maybe they could use a wide receiver there, but they got a couple really good guys. Howard Miller's doing really well with them. And they've got Dwayne Aaron, obviously, could be a little better. So maybe they decide to go that route. Or, yeah, like I said, you could always go defense. You could never have too many defensive players. What do you guys think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's still a couple good young linebackers out there, Marshawn, Barnaby Earl. And obviously those running backs I keep bringing up, Laugerfield and Ricky Adams are still there. And with Grau, I'm saying he's going to take some time away from the league. Those should definitely be options here for the Yeti.
Yeah, I agree with the running back proposition. There's, with Adams and with Lagerfield, they're both excellent running backs. I think, once again, they're guys who are going to do better in the NSFL than they did in the DSFL. So,
Well, let's see. We're getting word that we have made a selection there in Colorado. And the Yeti go with a safety, Alexander Thibault, the king, the center fielder safety from the Portland Pythons. Great selection here. Really good-looking player, and safety is one of those positions where you can use him in a lot of different ways. And you can use him on the outside in the nickel. You can use him as a linebacker or just keep him at safety. So I think a good selection here and a lot of versatility.
Yeah, so they go back-to-back defensive backs here to Ludwig, the corner, and now Thibault, the safety. So, I mean, that's obviously what they thought was an area of need for them. And, they did a great job of bolstering it.
Yeah, I think really what they needed to take the next step was to bolster their secondary a little, but they really tightened that down.
He's got a little room to grow, I'd say. He is setting about 80 speed, which is pretty good. Not very high strength, that sort of thing. You do want your safeties to have a little bit of decent strength, as they do have to make some tackles on running backs and tight ends and that sort of thing. Maybe it's a guy that they don't go ahead and jump straight up to the pros as a rookie, leave him one more season in the DSL. I think this one could go either way.
I mean, either way, I think safety was a big area of need for them. They only really have Michael Tillman. I don't think Bobby Ruckus is active anymore. So, I mean, they're throwing a dart at a guy who has shown, some desire to come back and try and make it work this time with the player. So, best of luck to him and best of luck to the Yeti.
I'm seeing something a little odd here in our Twitch chat from everyone's favorite retiree, Arba Nasipi, saying apparently that the Yeti previous pick might have some Carmel Gibson TPE going on. Can't guarantee that. It's not the most reliable source that we have, but it is an interesting little piece of gossip.
And apparently Bobby Ruckus is retired.
Oh, that's too bad. He was a good-looking prospect a couple years ago when he was out there. All right, so with that, Orange County back on the clock after trading down with the Wraiths for the number 8 pick. Obviously, we talked a little bit about kind of what their needs and what they're looking for here. Looks like they weren't too concerned about losing guys like Oscar Ludwig or Alexander Thibault, or maybe they were, just thought they were going to drop. With the kind of guys that we've got left on the board, obviously there is Valentine, the wide receiver. I'm kind of surprised that the Yeti didn't take him. There kind of was that connection since he had his previous player had played for the Yeti for a little bit before going inactive. Um, and then we've got a couple of running backs that we talked about earlier. We've got Adams and Lagerfield still on the board. Marchand at linebacker. Barnaby Earl is up on this list here. I think he might be a little early for this. Not quite a first round prospect, but still very good. Couple quarterbacks and maybe even tight end Zach Brannigan, something like that. Few good ways they could go with this.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up Brannigan. I mean, he's a player we haven't talked about at all. But I know he's a sim league guy and he's had some success in other leagues, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Otters take a shot when they don't really have a tight end of the future here. So maybe he's the pick here.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that really this could kind of go any way, and this is probably going to be one. And as GMs, you guys understand this. This is all going to come down to that conversation. Otters can probably fit just about anyone on the roster at this point. They are going through a bit of a retooling, so whoever has that best conversation with them is going to be the guy that they're going with. And I think that conversation's over because we've got a pick. And the Otters go with the power running back, Ricky Adams, the danger zone, from the Luchadores. So, Icy Doug, how was this guy in your locker room in Tijuana?
And he's a locker room guy. He was active all year. He was pretty much hyped all year that we could make the playoffs, even when we lost some big games to the Marshals late. Like I said, we are running him in a committee, so I think the stats that he got in the DSFL are not exactly what he can do. If he gets more of the carries, I think he can do a lot more.
Yeah, the Otters haven't had a power running back since, um, since Leroy Jenkins. What was that? Season 3, Season 4 was the last time he played for them. Other than that, they've been very much into the speed backs with your guys like Burnsman and Yates, who are getting a little older. Now, TDZ has played for the Otters before. It was back during Season 1 when they had waiver wire players still and not the DSFL. But he did play on the Otters for a little bit. Didn't end up going to them in the draft. So maybe there's that sort of connection. And from what I understand, the conversation was very, very good, and they had a lot of great things come out of discussing it with him. Just like you said, going to be a good locker room guy.
Yeah, and I'd say he's actually pretty fast for a power build. So I think they can use him in a lot more situations than just a fullback or a power running back. He's actually pretty fast.
And it looks like our chat and our Twitter is pretty surprised that Elijah Lagerfield has not been picked up yet. So we've got a lot of people that are wondering why a couple of other offensive players have gone before him, but we will see how much further Lagerfield continues to drop. The speed running back, I believe he came out of Portland. And that takes us to round 2. So quick thoughts, guys. How do you feel the first round went?
Hey, man, I don't think it went as expected for a lot of people, myself included. I think there were a lot of surprise picks in there. I think it was a very interesting first round, and I can't wait to see what the second round and the rest of the draft holds.
Yeah, the tail end of the first round really shook up what we're expecting going in the second round with all the dropping off talent that could really still have gone in the first, respectively.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the two biggest surprises to me are Fitzpatrick not going in the first and Marshawn not going in the first. Fitzpatrick, I mean, he's obviously going to be a great on-the-field player. Us with the Liberty, we obviously had some character concerns about him, and we didn't feel like he'd be, worthy of the third overall pick for us. But we definitely have our eye on him moving forward, and we'll see if we're able to get him later in the draft. Guys, some other guys I like were Lagerfield, Barnaby Earl, who I'm really surprised that they're still available at this point, especially seeing some other players go at similar positions.
Well, let's see how much further these guys continue to fall. A lot of talent still left on the board, so it's going to be a pretty good round two compared to what we've seen in some prior seasons, and definitely some good places for teams to pick up quality talent. So with that, Sabercats back on the board. What do you guys have? 5 picks in the first 2 rounds?
Yep.
Did you trade your whole team away?
I believe CK traded away Sharpay for Nola's second round pick and Bailey, I'm not sure how we got the other pick, but I know one of them came from trading Bailey.
Oh, looks like Mr. Sippy here is giving us some updates on his claim earlier about Ludwig's TPE, and yeah, that's pretty minor, man. It's an update and a bank and some training for $1 million. Come on. That's all you got. All right, let's move on. So, what are you guys looking to do with this number 9 pick and then your number 11 and your number 15? What are you looking to add right now for this round? You've already added a good wide receiver and a good linebacker. What else do you need?
Really, it's time to go offense again. There's some great prospects out there, like Lagerfield dropped. Zach Brannigan also dropped, and then you had also Valentine. But the issue we had with Valentine was that he told us he didn't want to play for us, mainly because he didn't know anyone in our locker room. And of course, I respect that, like I did with Harp. So really, we had a lot of options here, especially on offense.
Yeah, and I think the first round really shook up what we thought was going to happen in the second round. So this is definitely not exactly what we expected to fall.
Yeah, I mean the pick here would have been Ricky Adams had he have fallen that far, but I guess I misjudged what the Otters wanted, and yeah, we end up not getting him.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. See you guys go with Lagerfield here. I think it's a really good pick. You've got Arizona in between your 2 picks, so really it's a question of of the 2 guys that you really want here, which one is Arizona not going to take? Which one do you think is going to pass? Is Arizona going to go for a quarterback, a Kevin Fitzpatrick, to replace King Bronco? Or are they going to go for a Barnaby Earl or a Marchand? Which can you get away with? I would think with 2 good linebackers on the board like Marchand and Earl, I would go Lagerfield here, and if Arizona does take a linebacker, you just take the other one. And let's see how you finished with that. And it's Elijah Lagerfield.
Yeah, we need that successor to Smallwood, really. Again, we need all these people who are going to grow with offense as we get better and improve through our rebuild. And I really feel that he's going to be our key player who's going to get that yardage. Like, he's already setting records in the NSFL, so I really expect big things out of this guy.
Yeah, from my scouting, he always looked like a pretty good prospect. Put in a lot of work on the site. Does a lot, his PTs and does some media, that sort of thing. Of course, the speed archetype has been one that's been proven to do very well. He's got about 82 speed right now, which is pretty good for a first draftee. I think he needs to add a little more, obviously, and get that up to 90 to compete. Do you guys think he's going to stay down in the DSFL for another year, or you think you're going to call him up now and replace Denzel Diaz?
Much like with our other prospects, it's up to him. Really, I think he might find more enjoyment being with the Pythons, but again, if he wants to come up to the NSFL and see if he can compete for Rookie of the Year, then by all means, he can.
I think you should bring him up. We got fantasy teams to worry about here, man. Telling you, this guy, late round fantasy pick right here. You take him round 7, 8, carry your fantasy team. So we've got Arizona back on the clock. We talked about them a second ago and kind of what their needs are. And now that we got Lagerfield off the board, so the top few running backs are off the board now. So Arizona, I'd say right now, they're looking at a linebacker, either Marchand or Earl, or maybe Vincent Valentine. They could still use another wide receiver on the opposite end of Squanch, a good young guy to go with him. Or maybe they go quarterback, go Fitzpatrick. I don't think Kyle Corbett, the Rocket Man's the choice here. They still got Dean Jackson, hell of a kicker. So, what do you guys think?
I think it's definitely Corbett because of Dean Jackson.
Wait, you think I go two kickers? One punter, one kicker?
I mean, is Dean Jackson really a kicker? Do we consider him one of those still?
Maybe Dean Jackson's going to switch to quarterback this season.
I mean, it'd be an improvement.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I actually really like Fitzpatrick here. I think he gave us a lot of headaches on the Luchador defense when we were game planning against him. So I think he'll be a good quarterback as he continues to develop.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I mean, despite the differences that my organization's had with Fitzpatrick, he's obviously going to be a great player. There's no doubt about it. So if they're planning on replacing Bronco, I think he'd be a great pick here.
Well, I got word that they've made the pick, so let's see what we've got. And they go with Kevin Fitzpatrick. Casey Colby from the Marshals, the game manager quarterback. So it looks like they now have their replacement to King Bronco on the Arizona Outlaws. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, like I literally just said, it's a great pick. He's a great player. There's no doubt about it. And if he sticks there, he's their quarterback for the next 10 seasons or whatever.
Yeah, I say take him up now so we don't have to deal with him in the DSFL.
I think it's a pretty good pick. Obviously, this is a bit of a steal. Finding a guy who could be your franchise quarterback at pick number 10, that's not common. And this is the first time we've seen a game manager quarterback in the NSFL, so we're going to see how that does at the high end level. Kind of a hybrid, can pass a lot, but still pretty quick and got some good strength. So maybe not quite an Axelson with his feet, but not bad. Could be a pretty good, well rounded guy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this could be like an Aaron Rodgers situation where he's dropping, and then 2 or 3 seasons from now, everybody's kicking themselves for not taking him.
So, we have the Sabercats back on the clock. What are you guys thinking here? Do you go with one of those linebackers, Marchand or Earl, who have been dropping? Or do you go with a Zach Brannigan tight end? Or do
Well,
you go
in
with a
regard,
Kyle Corbett? Do you go with the Rocket Man?
well, that's true. Yeah, we lost Blewett this offseason. So really, at least with linebackers, I felt like we could wait a little bit on that pick, mainly because there's a prospect who's on the board who we really like still.
You guys are going with the Rocket Man, aren't you?
Perhaps.
I couldn't blame you if you did.
I think Kyle should have went first. Just saying.
I mean, there's got to be a hidden clutch stat in the sim somewhere that we haven't found, and he's got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think drafting here would be too early. I mean, he's obviously proven that he can come through in clutch situations. He's proven he can hit long kicks, and I mean, he's still so early in his career. He's only going to get better.
Yeah, but either
that's
way, some good guys dropping as well with Marchand and Earl, or Corbett or Brannigan. All four of those guys looking really good right now. These are some value picks at this point.
honestly, I'd say they're beyond value picks really because in any other draft that was less deep, wouldn't you say that any of the guys respectably could have gone in the first round?
I'd say so. And let's see what we go with. And they go with tight end, Zach Brannigan from the Luchadores. Balanced tight end. Real big guy, 6'3", 265. I gotta say, I like this pick. It's been a while since the SaberCats have had a tight end. You know, they've been using break bottles forever. So what was your decision with this one?
Well, he's a great guy. He's got the personality. He's active on Discord and everything. But then besides that, he really plays a position of need. And really, because last season we were using Tortuck Jr. because Break Bottles retired the previous season. So feasibly he could come up this year, but I'm not going to push that on him.
Yeah, I mean, we would put him actually at receiver, the primary receiver sometimes in our testing, and he did excellent. So I think he's an excellent receiving tight end.
Yeah, and he's a balanced tight end, which I think just got a boost in the league. So I mean, it's a good archetype, and if he sticks at it, he could develop to be a great tight end in this league.
All tight ends got a boost this season, but yeah, I think this is a fantastic pick. It's great that he dropped this far. I mean, he's in Twitch chat right now talking about the fact he's got drafted, and I think it's with Brad Pennington surrounding himself with a couple good, talented pieces on offense, going to help that team out a lot more in the next couple seasons when they all start getting a little bit more experience. And that brings us to the Liberty with pick number 12. Adam, what are you guys thinking with this pick?
I mean, there's still a lot of good prospects on the board. We're still in the same spot we were at the first pick. We've got a lot of holes, and we're just looking, for the who we think's the best fit. As we go through this rebuild process. So a lot of it's coming down to best player available, how we think they're going to be in the locker room, things like that. Not necessarily, do we need this one position?
Well, you need every position.
Exactly. So I would say everybody's on the board right now. There's not a single player we wouldn't take other than Showbiz because we can't. But yeah.
Now, is it too early to select Zobot Slinger 1?
We already got him. He's already
Oh,
on the
okay,
roster.
you already got him. All right, this is a quick one. Let's see what Philadelphia goes with. And we've got a trade. Philadelphia trades down to the number 13 pick and receives Josh Garden. That's a bit odd how he kind of went around the world and back again to you guys. So what's going on with this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We really like Vinny Valentine, but early in the scouting process, he told us he'd prefer not to play for us. But we felt like he was the best player on the board. The Hawks kind of felt the same way, and we were sort of able to move back one pick and pick up a piece that we wanted, and bringing Josh Garden back and giving us a little bit of a receiving threat. And yeah, we just moved back one pick, and we're confident that they take Valentine, and the guy who we wanted will still be on the board at 13.
All right, let's see if you got it. So Baltimore, they are going to go ahead and make their pick pretty quickly here. And they go with... There you go, Vinny Valentine. So it looks like you had it pegged pretty right on what they were looking for with that trade.
Yeah, I mean, Valentine's previous player played for the Hawks, and that's kind of what we felt like, that who they were going to take. And we just kind of squeezed out a little value of them to bring Garden back.
So the Hawks have drafted a lot of offense the past few seasons. They had two tight ends in 3 seasons, and now they've added a wide receiver in there. Obviously they've got two slightly older receivers with LeClaire and Trey Willie, both who did outstanding this season and really blew the whole league away. So it'd be interesting to see
They also
how
have
they
Buda
fit.
Browning.
What's that?
They also have Buda Browning at wide receiver, too.
They
Don't
do
forget
have
that.
Buda Browning. You're right. Now I think Leclerc is testing free agency and might be leaving. I'm not 100% what's happening with that. So it'll be interesting to see how they end up balancing this depth chart with all this receiving talent. But I'm sure Bloxdale's thrilled to have lots of hands to throw to.
I think LeClaire actually re-signed with Baltimore, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% on that, though.
All right. Well, it's interesting to hear. So they're going to have a lot of different receivers to work with right now. This is going to be a pretty good one, though. I think I'm surprised that he managed to fall this far to pick number 12. Really good speed wide receiver. I think he's on the updater team, so he's working pretty hard. He did go inactive before, but a lot of people have done that. Already has 88 speed right now, lightning fast for a DSFL prospect. So pretty good pick here.
Yeah, and I think with their receiving core, he's definitely a candidate to stay in the DSFL this year. already having those 3 top receivers and Lofto at tight end. I mean, there's really no room for him in Baltimore this year. But with those guys getting older, I mean, you can definitely see him coming up next year and, blowing the league away, maybe being a Rookie of the Year candidate.
Right there with you. And so let's see what Liberty ends up doing with that pick they traded down to. So you said you had your eye on someone. Any hints?
I mean, this is somebody that Twitch chat's been talking about a lot. It's shocked that he fell this far, and we are too. We were really excited that he waited until just the past couple of days to start making a lot of posts. We're thrilled to have had the opportunity to pick him, and I'm just going to wait till the pick is officially announced before I say who it is.
Is it Shadarian Lemolina?
No spoilers.
Oh. Well, let's see who we got. Not surprised at all here with the pick of Jesse Marchand, the linebacker, off of the Marshals. It is amazing that the man managed to fall all the way to the 13th pick. Twitch chat has been shocked. Twitter's been shocked. Everyone's been wondering when this guy's finally going to get picked. And here's your answer, going to Liberty. So really fantastic. How do you guys feel about managed to land him here?
I mean, it's unbelievable to see a player of this quality fall this far in the draft. We are stoked to have him. Didn't think we'd get the chance to pick him in the second round. And I mean, we're just thrilled to be able to bring him aboard. Also, too, he's another player who has the Marshalls connection to a BW3, and another player who they got a lot of information on just from that sort of relationship that he has with the Marshalls. So we know a lot about him as a player. We know a lot about him as a prospect, and couldn't be happier to bring him aboard.
How much does the archetype, you think, really weigh into your decision here? Are you looking for something more of that speed rusher, that fast guy, or does it not matter too much to you? You're just looking for the person behind the player?
I mean, really, at this point in our rebuild, like I said, we can't be looking, for certain archetypes, certain positions. We got to be just looking for that guy who we think can come in and is comfortable laying the foundation of the rebuild of our franchise and getting us back to another Ultimus, hopefully winning another Ultimus here in the near future.
Well, I think it's a good decision making, and you guys got a pretty nice value there. And so now at pick number 14, the Otters are on the clock, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of suspense about who they pick here. So obviously, Gus Showbiz is the recreated co-GM of the Otters. Retired his safety Ian Bavitz last season, recreated as a quarterback. So we have to take him with your top pick of the second round, and I think the Otters are pretty excited to have the future of Orange County with the successor of Mike Boss here. Unless they manage to get a trade down and move down to number 16 or number 15 with one of the other guys and maybe secure a little bit more draft capital or something for the future here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say it's going to be Showbiz here. Even a trade, I can't really see it happen. I mean, I don't think the Rays are going to pay too much to hop over the SaberCats. And the SaberCats won't pay anything to just move up one spot when they already know who the pick's going to be. So I think it's obviously going to be Showbiz, and you know what you're getting with him. He's a GM, so you're getting the great players. You're going to continue to develop and eventually replace Boss as the quarterback in Orange County.
Yeah. So let's see if they end up being able to land a trade or if they go with Showbiz. And there it is. Gus TT Showbiz, the quarterback of the Coyotes, is going to Orange County to hopefully continue the dominance that they've seen for a lot of seasons and bring them back up to the dynasty level.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a great pick. To get a guy of this skill at 14th, it's a great pick, great value. He's obviously going to be a great quarterback, and I'm sure he'll replicate everything that Boss has done, if not surpass some things that Boss has done in Orange County, which is crazy because Boss has been, the most prolific quarterback in NSFL history already.
He's had a pretty good run. I see some comments, people wondering if he's going to be sent back down. Right now I'm thinking that it looks like Showbiz probably will spend another season with the Coyotes, and as the Otters look to go with one more championship run with Boss and try to get ring number 4.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. I mean, the Otters definitely aren't in rebuild mode yet, so they definitely have at least another year or two with Boss. before Showbiz will pass him in skill level. So
So that brings us to the 15th pick. Back to the SaberCats again. I feel like I'm just talking to you guys every 3 seconds. So, uh, what are you feeling with this number 15 pick and the people left on the board? We've got Barnaby Earl still up there. We've got the Rocket Man. We've got the running back Strike. We have the only defensive lineman in the draft, Young Spaghetti. Who are you going with?
Really? There's a clear player above the rest, and that's of course Barnaby Earl, because he's still active, I believe, and he may not be the most active update or whatever, but I think he's a solid guy, and he could complete the trifecta between Derringer, Ben, and him, at least on our defensive front.
Yeah, with these kind of picks here, when you get late into the second round, you don't have a lot of options, obviously. If you can get someone that's still going to update, they don't have to be perfect. It's always going to be a big win for your team. And linebacker is one of those things where if you surround a weaker linebacker with some really strong ones, the whole team, they elevate his performance. And so you can bring that guy's performance up to be similar to what those 500, 600 TP guys are doing if you scheme them right. So I think that would be a smart pick by you. And with that, let's see if you pick it. And they do. Sabercats go with Barnaby Earl. I think this is a really big steal. The run stopper out of the Pythons, real big guy. Could be a fantastic middle linebacker, inside linebacker in a 3-4, that kind of thing. Maybe even play a little bit of defensive end if you need him to. So I think you guys did pretty good. How you feeling about him?
Well, really, the only downside to him was his archetype, but again, you can scheme around that and place him at a middle linebacker where his speed can kind of be compensated for.
Yeah, I think middle linebacker, we really need a spot that'll be there in the future so we can keep this kind of like Brad was saying, this trifecta of linebackers. So I think his archetype will work fine in middle linebacker for us.
Well, I like the choice, and I think you guys, if you know the picks that you've made so far in the first few rounds, you can keep these guys active, keep developing them. This is going to be a short rebuild. So that
Yeah,
brings
but
us to the last pick of the second round, the Yellowknife Wraiths. A couple people on the board still here right now. We've got quarterback Metaxas. You know, he's bench warmer. He's played for them before. We've got a couple wide receiver. We've got our kicker Corbett, and also another kicker Romero, and Strike the running back. What do you guys think they're going to go with?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is another situation where I mean, the Wraiths are already a great team. So anything they pick here, I think they're picking for the future, not for somebody who can come in and compete for playing time right away. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I just think they picked best player available there.
I think you're right, and actually they're making a pretty quick one here. So I've got word that one's been made. And they've traded down again. So the Outlaws have traded up to the number 16 pick. Rays have traded down to the 18 pick and also received more cap space. This is $18.5 million in cap space for season 9 that they have managed to trade for. Rays are just looking for some money. I don't know if they're targeting a big name free agent or something like that and trying to pay him $20 million, or if they just are up against the cap with some old veterans or looking for a fantastic offensive line. But it's interesting to see that they are really just trading for money right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is what happens when you already have a complete team. You can afford, to move back a couple spots and pick up more cap space and pick up future picks, and then, like you said, you can get that dominant offensive line. You can keep paying these picks forward, and eventually you'll have a big payoff when these players start retiring.
Let's see what the Outlaws decide to do with that number 16 pick that they traded for. And they go with the running back out of the Coyotes, speedback Lamarcus Strike. Still on the board. I'm actually kind of surprised he managed to fall this far. I cannot blame the Arizona for wanting to trade up for him. They do need a successor to Reg Mackworthy, and I think this is a pretty good pick for a small cost, only a few $1 million in cap space that they're probably not going to use this season.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good pick. I mean, it's a high upside pick, a low risk pick here. If it doesn't pan out, you lost $3.5 million in cap space. But if it does pan out, then you get your running back in the future. So I think it's a smart pick by the Outlaws.
I have to agree with you there. And so that brings us to the end of the second round. So we have round 3 starting in just a little bit, and from what I understand, the Meme Maestro, GM of the Yeti, just joined us a moment ago. So welcome to the chat. Tell us, how are you feeling about the draft so far?
So I feel pretty good about our pop. We felt like our secondary was a real big thing we needed to work on, and Thibault, the king, he was here with Joyce. He wasn't very active, but he's a really good guy, and he's a guy that we wanted to bring into our locker room again. And the Norwegian Demon's a new guy, and he's someone that I haven't worked with before, that no one's really seen much of before. But he's really someone that we feel can really grow.
Do you think you guys paid too much to trade up and get him?
No, I feel like he's someone that we really wanted to bring in. With Danger going inactive, and with the retirement of Ruckus and all of that, we feel like it's really important that we are able to bring him in.
I can understand that. So how close are the Yeti now, in your opinion, to winning the Ultimates? Is it Season 9? Is it Season 10? Or is it Season 11?
I feel like we're definitely going to be in the. Don't want to make any guarantees, but I feel like this can be a playoff team as soon as next year.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think the Yeti have really turned this rebuild around, and they're one of the hottest destinations in all the NSFL right now. It's a great landing spot for anybody.
So if the Yeti are making it in Season 9, who's missing? Is it the Hawks or is it the Wraiths?
I don't want to say
Or
the
the
Raiders.
Liberty.
I mean,
Well, we know the
obviously,
Liberty aren't making it.
it's
I was talking about
Adam,
the
but
Hawks.
the Liberty. But I don't want to say either team, because I love both of their front office. I love Berserkap. I love Slim. But with the Wraiths just winning a championship, I could see it being the Hawks. But then again, the Wraiths do have to deal with Tweed regressing more. They have to deal with Axelson regressing more. So I don't know. We'll just play the best we can.
So looking at who's available right now, who would you say is the top player on the draft board that you're seeing at this point?
Really looking at it as of now, there's a lot of players still there that I like. I know I gotta go with I don't want to, but just for the joke, I'm gonna go with Lamalana because it's my brother. But in actuality, Rocket Man and Spaghetti are both really good prospects. So I don't know.
Rocket Man's going to be an interesting one to see if where he goes. A couple teams are already pretty set at kicker. A couple could still use one. He has been kind of going in and out. He'll disappear for a few days, so there's some concerns there. Spaghetti, same thing. This is obviously a draft where there are no other defensive linemen. Do you take a chance on a guy like him and grab him in the third round, hope he comes back, or maybe just see if you're going to need a 110 TPE defensive lineman to get you through some rough times, since it's a tough position to fill. So we will see how this turns out. But thank you for joining us and coming to give us some of the GM insights on how the draft has gone. And I think you guys have done a great job so far this year and the past few years turning that franchise around. So really excited to see what happens in Colorado this season.
All right, thank you. Looking forward to seeing how you guys can do in Ord County. Adam, you guys with the Liberty, and Brad, you guys with the Sabercats. So I'll be gone. Hashtag Yeti noises, and bye.
Thank you for
Yeah,
joining us.
great job this season, man. Great job rebuilding the team, man. Good luck.
So, at the beginning of round 3, Sabercats back on the clock at number 17. What are you guys thinking with this? Are you gonna go ahead and fill that kicker spot since you lost your kicker in you blew it? Or are you gonna go ahead and grab a wide receiver or one of those defensive ends? How you feeling?
I mean, really, the debate with this pick is more along the lines of which kicker to take, because Romero, from what I understand, he's slightly more active and a little bit higher TPE than Corbett, but at the same time, Corbett seems to have ice in his veins whenever he plays.
He's got the clutch gene.
I'm telling you, it's got to exist.
Look, if we pick Kyle here, I think we're just going to win championships for years to come.
Let's see what we go with. And it is Rocket Man indeed. Kyle Corbett from the Luchadores, the man who won it all with a 50-yard kick at the last second and brought home the Ultimate for their team. Pretty exciting pick. How you feeling about it?
Great, honestly. He's an active guy, really. And other than that, he plays a key position, and he's going to be the only player that I will say that who's probably going to have to play in the NSFL.
I mean, I feel good for the Sabercats. I feel bad for him going up for the Luchadors, but yeah, he's been a really active guy in the locker room. He kind of faded out there at the end of the season after he won us a championship. So I hope he continues to stay active.
So, are there any concerns about this pick, given his performance at the combine with 0 bench presses?
Kickers don't need a bench press.
Are they even really players?
All right, so we got the Rays up at number 18. Rays have traded down at both times in the draft so far. Well, yeah, 2, 3 times. What are the chances you think that the Rays go ahead and trade down again at this point, or do you think they go and maybe grab Metaxas, the quarterback, who could potentially become the successor to Matt Axelson, given that they're both those mobile quarterbacks, and he has some history with that team?
I don't know. I could see them trading down again or trying to trade for a future pick here. Like I said, they're already a complete team. They don't need anything right now, but I mean, if they were going to take a dart throw at the board here, I think Metaxas is one of the better ones you could throw.
It's a tough call because there's a lot of good quarterbacks in next year's draft, 5 or 6 of them. So just about any of them could also be your guy, and you can get him probably at a pretty decent pick. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this one.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Next year's draft is looking like a really quarterback plentiful draft. There's a lot of good options, so I could see them, delaying, taking one this year, to get a shot at next year's class. Or even if they take one this year, they might still take another one next year. But Texas hasn't had the best history of development, so you never know if he's going to continue on that path or if he's going to continue developing into one day being a starting quarterback.
It's true. You could be like Orange County in season 1 and just draft 3 quarterbacks.
And he was a part of that too.
He was. Flipped him for a defensive tackle, if I remember correctly. So let's see what we end up with here, as they looks like they've got a selection in. And they go with him indeed. Andreas Metaxas, the mobile quarterback from the Luchadores, has been selected by the Rays. I think a lot of people were expecting this to happen. Another 0 bench press. Wow, a couple weak guys these last few picks. They need to get in the gym. Tell them to call Dermot, get some milk.
He did have a record-breaking scramble this year. That was both record-breaking in the DSFL and the NSFL. So you don't need the bench press if you're really fast.
Yeah, I think it's a really good pick, and it'll be interesting to see. If they can get their future quarterback out of a round 3 pick, that is really a big steal, and that's the kind of thing that can help your franchise get through a rebuild, get through a retool, and get right back on top again. So I think the Rays have had a really good draft, considering their number 8 position, and they've really flipped it and managed to work with it well.
Yeah, I mean, I think really that's what you're looking for at this point in the draft. You're looking to get those high upside, low risk guys, and this is definitely one of them. If he turns out he's going to turn out big and he's going to be that quarterback of the future, and if he doesn't, I mean, what do you lose a third round pick? It's not the end of the world. Your team's still going to be fine. He's still going to succeed.
Yep, I agree with you there. So, Liberty's got 2 back-to-back picks here, 19 and 20. As we know, you guys are just kind of going best pick available, trying to pick the right people for the team to help get your locker room for the future. Who are you looking at here?
Well, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that the 2 guys who just went right before us weren't on our board as possible picks here for 19 and 20. So we're a little disappointed to not get a shot at them. But there's still a lot of great prospects and some guys we really like, especially at linebacker, cornerback, defensive end. So, there's definitely a lot of talent still on the board here, and I think we got a shot to pick up a guy who's going to contribute during this rebuild.
What are the chances you trade in for the future?
I mean, that's definitely always on the board. I mean, like I said, S9 and S10 probably aren't going to be our years. So if we have an opportunity to move this pick and pick up additional picks down the road, that's definitely something that we would consider.
Yep, it's a good call, I think, any way you go, because these next 3 drafts are going to be big. They're going to be stacked with talent, this draft included.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking at all the season 10 prospects. I mean, it's a huge draft already. I think it's already at 24 prospects. We are just doing the season 9 draft today, so there's a lot more time for recruitment, a lot more time for that draft to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm excited, for that draft, because we already hold a lot of picks in that draft.
All right, let's see what we've got. We've got some notification that there is been a selection. And the selection was a trade. So the Liberty trading down. So they traded down to number 22. Otters traded up 3 positions, got about a little bit in cap, $500,000. And the Otters, interestingly enough, are giving up their season 10 third-round pick to move up 3 spots. Considering we're talking about these could be some deeper drafts next season, you got to be feeling pretty good about that one.
Yeah, I mean, when it was offered to me, it was a no-brainer. No-brainer to accept that. Like I said, S9 is not going to be our year. S10 is not going to be our year. So we're just trying to compile as many picks as we can to make sure we bring in the right guys. So maybe S11 and maybe S12 is our year.
Yeah, and I think, speaking from an Otter perspective, this is a team that's always been pretty tight up against the cap for a few seasons. They've got some guys that do like to get some decent paychecks. So, they're looking to maybe ease their cap a little bit, not take on so many expensive rookies next season, and hopefully grab a high upside pick this season, and I think I know who they're looking at. And with that, the Otters are going with... They go with the only defensive lineman in the draft, Young Spaghetti, the defensive end from the Luchadors, speed rusher. And I completely agree with the decision to trade up. It cost a good amount to move up 3 spots for this, but I think they were worried he was not going to last 2 more picks. Defensive linemen are tough to find right now, particularly young ones. If he comes back and is active, even at a minimal level, that is a huge win for them. Defensive line is always been something that the Otters like to have really good talent on. And if he doesn't, even at 110 TPE, he can still do pretty well or be worth a decent trade down the road. So I can see the decision here, and I think it worked out pretty well for both teams.
Yeah, I think it's a smart pick just because, like you said, I mean, the lack of upcoming defensive line prospects. He was the only one in this draft. I think there's only 2 in the upcoming draft so far. So there's not a lot of defensive line talent out there right now. So I mean, it's smart to pick up the talent while you can.
Well, there have been a couple last-minute creations for the season 10 draft at defensive line. I don't think the Otters knew that at this time. Wally joined from people know him from some other leagues. He's defensive end, and Phobos Bonds also from a few other leagues. I think he's the commissioner of the GOMHL. Also joined as defensive end, and a couple of big linebackers, the kind that can play a little bit of both. So might turn out to be not the greatest pick with some young talent jumping into season 10 like that.
Yeah, I think if he starts getting active again, then it will be a great pick. He was really active early in the season in our locker room, and then he just kind of faded out. So hopefully he gets active again, and it'll be a really good pick for the Otters.
Oh yeah, Moose Cop there is saying that he knows him. Moose Cop, come on, help the Otters out here. You got to get this man active for us. He costs us a 3rd-round pick. 2 third-round picks, if you will.
Don't forget, Moose Cop's now an outlaw, though. So
I can make him do it. All right, so now we've got Liberty, Sabercats, Liberty, Sabercats, Liberty. 5 picks in a row. I happen to have the 2 GMs here in this chat. Guys, what are we doing? What's happening with these 5 picks? Are you guys making a basketball team?
I mean, we're obviously starting to run out of available picks here. So again, we're going best player available. You're not worrying about position. We're just trying to get that guy who we think is going to fit the locker room and who can help us, make the foundation for the Liberty moving forward.
What about my Sabercat friends? I haven't heard from you guys in a little bit. You got 2 picks here. What are you thinking? Just kind of best player available? You got any particular holes you're trying to fill?
Really, yeah, it's the best player available. Like this late in the draft, the talent is sort of tapered off, especially with Spaghetti going. So at this point, just take what you can get.
Yeah, draft starts getting a little thin around this spot. We're hoping next season this is going to be going actives all the way through season 4, or round 4. So far, it's looking like that. So let's see what we got coming out real quick. Liberty have made a quick selection. Tyler Griffin, linebacker out of Tijuana, balanced linebacker. What are you guys thinking? Best player available? Is that what you went with? No particular holes or anything like that? Have you talked to him?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously took Marchand earlier at pick 13. Who was another linebacker. We just felt that that Griffin here was the best player available. And keep building that defensive core.
Were you able to get a hold of him, have a conversation pre-draft, doing some scouting, anything like that?
Yeah, we actually did. We actually sent him a message. He sent us a message back. So he was one of the guys who we reached out to and reached out back to us. So we were definitely happy with the interactions we had, and we're hoping we can keep him more active and keep him active and turn him into one of the top users here.
If you can get that out of a number 20 pick, that's a big win for your team. It's the kind of thing that turns around a rebuild real fast.
Exactly, and those are the types of picks you need this late in the draft. These low risk, high reward picks that I'm talking about all night. You want to get the guys who maybe are semi-active but not 100% into the league, and hopefully your locker room environment, the guys that you picked earlier in the draft, the guys you already have on your team, can turn them into super actives. I mean, I don't know if you remember back in like S3 when I was a GM, we took guys like Kamaka now, who PDX Baller, who has turned into one of the most active guys in the league. I think we got him in like the fifth or sixth round of the draft. So that's the kind of picks that we're looking for here too.
Yep, there's always a couple late round gems that end up surprising people. So Sabercat's back on here with number 21. Were you guys looking at Griffin at all, or were you thinking of going with someone else?
Uh, as far as linebacker goes, I think we're pretty much finished with that. But at this point, let's take what ever position you can get. So like Richardson's still on the board, and Arshad, who you see in Discord sometimes, still on the board.
So what about La Molina? Obviously, is there a bit of a sour taste left in your mouth after the last encounter you guys had with his defensive tackle?
A bit, yeah. Like I'd say that was a huge red flag, but considering what happened before, I just don't think that situation would work between us.
I can understand chemistry is important in the locker room. So with that quick pick here, we have got Sabercats going with Taquan Richardson, cornerback from Tijuana also. Tijuana's had a lot of players in this last few picks. Man-to-man corner. You guys thinking he's going to go straight to corner? Is he going to maybe play some time at safety or nickel for a little bit?
Honestly, he's just going to be that versatile player in our secondary who's just going to switch around and play wherever needed as some of our guys start to regress. But at least for this season, I don't think he'll be coming up to the NSFL.
I see he made a ton of big plays for us late season for the Luchadors. So it was a great trade to get him earlier in the season. So I think even though his TP is a little bit low right now, he is an active guy. I think he can definitely develop to be a really solid corner.
Well, with the loss of Benson Bailey, you've got a hole to fill. He's got a ways to go to get to somewhere he can start at outside corner. I'd say he's a little slow, only has about 74 speed. Needs to get that to 90 or higher to really not be a liability for you at the NSFL level. But yeah, like you said, if you can keep him active, so that's a big deal at this kind of draft pick. And we are back to the Liberty with number 22. So a couple of wide receivers on the board right now. You've had a couple linebacker picks. There is a kicker sitting there. I think you mentioned you were looking to grab a kicker earlier. Where are you going with it?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on our board. There's a couple guys on here, but again, it's just best player available at this point. We have so many holes. We're not looking at a specific position saying, hey, we need a kicker, or hey, we need a running back. We are literally just taking the best guy out there and hoping we can turn him into an active player. So we're reaching out to guys who reached out to us during the draft process and hoping we can convert them to full-time active players instead of semi-active players at this point.
So how many people on the top 6 that are at the bottom of the board here? How many of those would you say you were actually able to get in touch with and have a conversation with?
2.
That's not bad for this spot. That's not bad at all to still have 2 people that you've managed to hold conversations with still available for you on the board at number 22.
Yeah, no, we're happy with it. I mean, when I was talking, to our war room, I said that we might be able to get active players all the way up to pick 24, and if we were able to do that, then that's been a heck of a draft for us. So, I'm confident, I'm hopeful, I guess, that we can get one here, and then we can still get one after the SaberCats pick with their next pick.
I like it. Let's see what we go with. We've got a pick. You guys, another linebacker, Robert Jordan, from the Pythons. This is what, your third linebacker this draft?
Yep, this is our third linebacker of the draft, and like I said, it's not about position for us. We were just picking the guys who we thought
Yeah.
showed the most promise.
Yeah, just whoever will stay active and earn TP. I get it. It's gonna be interesting if they all end up staying active. You're gonna have a pretty good level of competition. Maybe one goes to safety, maybe one goes to defensive end, something like that. But these are versatile players.
Yeah, and exactly. That's the thing too, is you always have position changes, things like that available. So if all these guys are active, we either end up with three great linebackers all in the same draft class, or one of them moves to a different position. We end up with a great player there.
You don't even have to move them. The Otters started defensive end at strong safety this year. You can do some real funny things on defense.
We actually did that too in some formations.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen some really fun things last season with kind of what people were doing, who they were putting where, and linebackers, they could play just about anywhere. I probably wouldn't put one at corner, but anywhere else.
Yeah, maybe a speed rusher. I don't know. That probably the only linebacker who probably hold their own at corner. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. It'd be tough if you don't want to end up going against an Eric Kennedy with only 90 speed. All right, Sabercats, you're back up there. So, you mentioned a couple wide receivers possibly last time. You took that only corner off the board. There's still a linebacker hanging out there. There's still a kicker hanging out there. Have you guys managed to have any conversations with any people at this point that are still on the board?
No, a lot of these guys at this point really haven't been on since like early June or even before. So at least really right now, just to see who has the most potential and who could possibly come back. But I mean, it's slim chance, really.
Yeah. All right. So with number 23 pick, I'm gonna start doing that sound after this round. Alsan Arshad. Alsan Arshad, that's what I'm going to say. I don't know how to say his name. That's CPT Squall. He's active in a few leagues right now. Route runner from the Coyotes. Good pick if you can keep him active. He's a good player. I've worked with him before in some other leagues. Definitely potentially a winner here for you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Just by virtue of the fact that he's in Discord and a lot of these guys still here really aren't, that sets him apart.
This is the guy who we wanted at 24, but unfortunately, he just picked one pick before us.
Well, you can't get him every time. Maybe you can trade for him. And so with that, the number 24 pick, Philly on the board, as we know, looking for best player available. And I think you said you only had two people you'd talked to at pick number 22 still left. Are those two the ones off the board, Jordan and Arshad?
Actually, one of them is still on the board, so that's probably who we're going to take it here. But yeah, you'll see why when we take him.
I'll see. Okay, well, let's see what this is. Now I'm intrigued. We have Jai Turner, the route runner from the Marshalls, and I'm not seeing why.
He's a player who's actually hasn't officially announced his retirement, but has spoken in the Marshalls Discord that he is eventually going to go inactive. So we're hoping that he doesn't. We kind of felt like this was like one of those another low risk, high reward picks that if he ever comes back, he's going to turn into a top earner. But if he doesn't come back, we lose a 24th pick, and it's not the end of the world for us.
Okay, well I can respect. The chance of someone coming back is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean exactly. The chance of somebody coming back is better than somebody who hasn't even put any time in. This guy put a little time in the league, and we're hoping one day down the road he comes back and he's still on our team, and we can continue development wide receiver.
Yeah, there you go. So that brings us to the end of the third round. Not a whole lot of actives left at this point. A lot of inactives left. So tell me, how do you guys feel about how things have gone so far, or how do you feel? Let's change the subject maybe a little bit. How do you feel about next season, season 10 draft? Who's on your mind? What prospects are standing out to you?
I mean, specifically with Philadelphia, we're obviously in need of a quarterback now with Oles retiring, and we obviously didn't pick one up this draft. So, this upcoming season, we're going to be starting Noble, who is heavy into regression already. So, quarterback is definitely on our mind, and we are looking at all the prospects and evaluating for whoever's going to be the quarterback of the future in Philadelphia.
There's a lot of good quarterback options next year. You've got Falcone, you've got Christ, we got Chris Bennett, Wozy, Chris Rose. Ton of quarterbacks next season.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to miss next season on a quarterback. There's so many good options.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, the S10 draft is going to be stacked, not just in quarterback, but a lot of other defensive and wide receiver players going late. There's also a lot of good running backs who are recreates, so a lot of active guys.
Any names in particular you're looking at? What about Casimir Oles, wide receiver?
He's going to be terrible. Just take him off your draft board. That guy's the worst.
Yeah, I've dealt with him a few times. Not the biggest fan of him. I tell you, I'm liking some of these defensive end people out there right now. Well, as I'm looking at a board right now, I think about 4 defensive ends in season 10 draft right now. Wally is one of them. Phobos Bonds is another. Slowpoke. I'm not sure if this is Slowpoke or the real Slowpoke. There was that little confusion that happened there with 2 of them happening. But a lot of good options for the defensive line. Few good corners hitting there as well. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, I'd say one running back that I'm definitely intrigued by is Achilles Hondo, blocking back. We just took Marquise Brown here at 3. I mean, if we can put a blocking back in front of him, I mean, we'd have one of the best run games, 2-3 seasons down the road here.
It's true, and two blocking backs, 2 fullbacks actually in season 10 drafts. We also have one at a time.
Yeah, I think you guys are also sleeping on Muford's recreate Poopsie. So he's a speed back, and if you pair him with a guy like Hundo, I mean that's a pretty good run game.
Yeah, no, I mean, Poopsy's definitely on my board as well. But, us taking Brown this year, we've sort of already have a running back in the future. So if we could pair him with a blocking back, we will have one of the best run games for sure.
Going to be interesting stuff. So let's see if anyone manages to find any diamonds in the rough here in the back end of the draft with round 4. Sabercat's on the board first. Anyone sticking out to you? Anyone you've talked to? Or you going to go with Dean Jackson's alter ego, Deion Jackson?
No, really. As far I think picking at this point would be extraneous, really, because we already have a few guys who are really projects, I'd say, and investing more cap space at this point, I think, would be kind of redundant.
So thinking this is going to be a pass?
Yeah.
Looks like a pass to me. All right, so end up passing there and moving on to the Arizona Outlaws. So Outlaws, pick number 26, and same thing. There's a few wide receivers out there. Obviously, these are guys where you're hoping they come back. There is a kicker. There's Deion Jackson in case Dean Jackson needs his doppelganger to be there with him. Jameson, the linebacker. Let's see who they go with. And they go with another kicker. Emilio Romero, kicker from the Marshals, going to Arizona, who has one of the highest TP kickers in the league with Dean Jackson. Interesting choice, but it's one of those things where you can send him back to the DSFL and not really lose any cap if you play it that way. If he comes back, maybe you get a position change or a trade out of him.
I mean, but if you look at it too, I mean, Romero here is 15th in TPE. You give him a 26 overall. That's heck of a value there. I mean, if you can convince him to change the position or something, then you've got a good solid player.
Yeah, or if another team ends up losing their kicker to either regression or auto retirement, yeah, this is a quick, easy trade. Get a 3rd-round pick out of it or something.
Yeah, exactly. Smart move by the Outlaws here.
I agree. It looks like my slide didn't change. I'm not going to click it yet. It says it's Arizona, but we know Arizona picked Yeti on the board next. We talked to the Meme Maestro a little bit ago. I'm not sure if they're really particularly targeting any other position. I think, like everyone else, they're just looking to grab some activity here. I would be interested to see if they go with Lama Lana, the wide receiver, who was obviously the brother of the Meme Maestro. See if maybe that family connection can get him back.
And what's interesting about this is it's Nola's first pick of the draft here at number 28. So I mean they've obviously seen a lot of picks go by and a lot of prospects that they probably wanted and weren't able to take. So I'm sure they're going to definitely take this pick and try and make it count.
Oh, after the Yeti go?
My bad.
Yeah, no, I understand, but it's a good point actually. I didn't really realize Nola hasn't really picked, so yeah, it would be interesting to see what they decide to grab. If there's any positions they could just need to throw an inactive into or something, or if they're just going to DSFL it and hope they get an active later. Oh, Arizona passes. Or not Arizona, the Yeti passed. They opt to not take the other Sandoval round 2. And so that brings New Orleans on the clock, and we already talked about them a second ago, so let's see who they go with. And there we go. So, Shadarian Lamalana. This is Cosborn Ball Boys Recreate. Speed wide receiver out of the Marshalls going to the second line. You think they haven't they've talked to him? Maybe there's a chance he comes back, or is this kind of just a hope he get an active out of it pick?
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I feel like this is just a hope you get an active out of it. It's probably a wasted pick. The only interesting thing about this guy is there's 3 consecutive L's in his last name, which is a unique way of spelling a name. I've never seen 3 consecutive L's in anybody's name before.
Well, he did play for the Yeti for a while, so I'm sure he's used to seeing L's a lot.
Good point.
Yeah. That brings us back to the Liberty. Are you picking anyone here, or are you passing with everyone else?
Oh no, we are definitely taking a player. We need as many possible active players as we can get at this point. And believe it or not, I think we're gonna get an active player at this point.
Really? Okay, let's see who we got. Blake Marchand, the wide receiver. So I think this is the brother, technically. Not sure if it's real or not, of the linebacker Marchand. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are actually brothers, is my understanding. But Blake Marchand is actually retired and been found dead. But now we are, just hopeful that even though we have this last year of him while he's still playing with his corpse, maybe we can bring him into the locker room, get to know him a little more before we're leading up to the S10 draft where he has a defensive end prospect that he recreated.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say this name looks familiar. So he retired. Well, he died. I'm sad to hear it. And he died and was reborn as defensive end. So you're hoping that the zombie can help you out for a little bit. Maybe you got a chance of getting him next year.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, this is just advanced scouting for us. We're going to invite him to the locker room. We're going to get to know him. We're going to get to see what he's all about. And he's going to get to see what we're all about and see if, we're a team that he wants to end up on coming up to this S10 draft where he has, a defensive line prospect, which is very short in supply. So I feel like this is just an opportunity to get a whole season of scouting on a guy that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to scout for the entire season.
I like it. It's a good move. Just if he goes for the brains, make sure you got to shoot him in the head. So this brings the Otters up at number 30. I'll be honest, I don't even know if the Otters pick someone here or not. The Otters have never really been, since the DSFL has been introduced, they've never been shy to go ahead and just try draft someone, see what happens. They throw them in the DSFL. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. No harm, no foul. So I'd be surprised to see if they passed here. I'm expecting they probably go with something like a wide receiver and just hope you get an active that either you can use or trade away. And they do. They go with wide receiver Ricardo Jones, red zone threat from Tijuana. Ruvumbuga 98. Not sure how you pronounce that. My Tijuana friends here. Oh, he left. Oh man, too bad. I was going to see if they know anything about him. Does anyone know if this guy's active or not?
He was, but I believe he had he was on a business trip or something, and he kind of went inactive off after that. But he was pretty active for a while actually in Tijuana.
Okay, well, hopefully he comes back not just for the Otters, but just for the league itself. We love to see more active players part of it. So We'll see if he gets to be a part of the Orange County air raid offense that has been lighting up the league for a few seasons. And then we got 2 picks by the Rays, 31 and 32. Do you guys think the Rays pass right now, or they grab a couple high upside picks to throw in the DSFL and hope they get something out of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just take the picks here. You just pick them, and you hope one of them turns out. And if they do, great. And if they don't, oh well.
And with that $18.5 million of extra cap space they traded for, I'd have to imagine you got to take a pick here. There's really not much to lose.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to trade for this anyway? So if they don't take the pick, it's not like they're going to get any value back for it. You just take the pick, and you hope you get lucky with a guy.
Oh, hey now.
That's my motto. Hope you get lucky with a guy.
Hey man, you got to do what you got to do. So they go with everyone's favorite doppelganger, Deion Jackson, wide receiver from the Pythons, possession wide receiver. Not a whole lot of activity here, not a lot of TPE, but worst case scenario, doesn't work out, no big deal. You don't bring him back next year.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the Rays are doing here. They're just picking guys, and if they work out, great, and if they don't, oh well, you didn't lose anything.
And with their number 32 pick, they end off the draft this season, and they go with Finn Jameson. I love this guy's username, Mega Shark Attack, the coverage linebacker from Tijuana. Hopefully, this again, same thing. Haven't seen this guy in a long time. Not a ton of TPE, but if you can get an active out of him in round 4, that's a big win.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, great username. I was hoping this is one of the guys that stick around with a name like Mega Shark Attack. Was hoping for it, but hopefully now he's in the race locker room, they can bring him in, and hopefully turn around whatever's happened in Luchador's locker room for him.
Yeah, maybe to get him change that forum avatar. It is disturbing. If you haven't seen it, don't look at it. You'll never be able to unsee it.
Now I have to go look at it.
I think that is all we've got. Do I have a final slide here? I do.
There's another pick. There's one more pick.
There's another pick. Oh, Arizona popped up out of nowhere. Okay, my mistake there. So Arizona pick number 34. Two more picks. Sap, what are you doing with these slides, man? How are you going to go from 32 to 34? I'm all kinds of confused. Okay, 2 more picks for Arizona's up next here, and same thing. I'd have to imagine they pick someone I wouldn't want to pass, but I think they did earlier, didn't they?
No, if you passed, you can't pick again. If you pass, you're done.
I understand. Oh, yes. Okay, that's what happened. So that's why 33 disappeared. San Jose auto-passed on 33 because they passed earlier. I guess 27. Or 25. So they go with John Springfield, center fielder safety from the Coyotes, 57 TPE, and, we'll see what happens if maybe they got a chance of getting him back too.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just can't go wrong on these picks. What else are you going to do? You got to take somebody. So, you're just hoping you get lucky here.
Yep. Get lucky, and, yeah. And so, I guess, yep, this is the last pick right here with the Liberty at number 36. Looks like in our top 6 remaining, we have one guy in Mr. Warren, the wide receiver. Is that who we're going with?
Yeah, that's what we're taking. The only 50 TPE player didn't even do the activity check or the free training. The only 50 TPE player in the draft. Although supposedly numbers, Paul DeMario knows him in real life, so you never know. Maybe that'll work out for us in the long run. I have no idea.
You just better hope he didn't leak anything to him.
If he leaked that he was going 36 in the draft, in the 32-player draft, I don't even know. I probably wouldn't come back.
All right, so I think, yep, does that bring up the end for us here?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Now, this says Baltimore's on the clock?
That was the last player.
Yeah, okay, so we're done there. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Pennington, and I know what's his name had to cut out a second ago, Icy Doug, so he's not here. Thank you for all the 13 people that are still watching. We had a good amount for a while. People cut out when it starts getting a little slower, getting to inactives, but yeah, I'm really happy. I think this has been a really good draft. And Adam, of course, you and Sap and Infinite putting together this work. Really fantastic work on the draft board here.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully everybody liked it. I mean, it was a ton of work for us. I made 32 individual, unique draft cards for 32 different prospects, including doing renders and jersey swaps and all that stuff. So, I mean, I hope that the presentation was worth it all. I think it really, yeah, I mean, from what I was watching on my phone on Twitch here, it looked like it came out great. The trades and everything, great job by everybody involved.
Yep. So definitely good. I'm excited. This has been a really good draft. I like how y'all put together a presentation. I think the GMs did a great job picking players, doing some scouting this year, and hopefully we're gonna have some really exciting competition next season. We've got some up and coming teams. The second line looking like they're going to be a new powerhouse. Yeti look like they are over that slump and ready to start competing. And a couple of the good older teams are starting to get a little worse. So season 9, who knows what's going to happen?
Well, I have a good feeling that the Liberty will not win the Ultimates in season 9.
What do you think the odds are of Zobot Slinger 1 being Breakout Player of the Year?
0. I don't think he's gonna play. I really don't think he's gonna play. I think Noble's gonna be our quarterback week 1. So
Oh, going with Logan Noble, who I think truly is the real public enemy number 1. All right,
yeah, I agree with you.
all right. Well, we're gonna call it here. So again, thank you everyone who's still hanging around. Thank you guys for joining me and everyone who put work into this. And we will see you guys for preseason and regular season in just a little bit of time. And all the new draftees who just joined, congratulations everyone. We're really excited to see you guys play.